Welcome back, everybody, to the CHG podcast.
What's up, guys?
My name is RJ. That's David over there. So this is this gaming podcast where we talk about the gaming industry at length, about what's going on. Funny, we try to be funny and informative at the same time. Usually, we accomplish neither, but hey ho, we keep pushing on. David, what are you drinking?
I'm joking.
On
I'm not advertisement. No sponsorship.
some Starbucks
But
drink.
yeah, it's the pineapple passion fruit refresher with lemonade.
All right, I guess David's a hipster now. Anywho, so we're gonna get right into what we're playing here. I will start off. I don't have as much to go about today, but so I'm playing two games. I'm going back and forth between two different games. The first one is again the Dead Space, OG Dead Space on PS3. I am almost done with it. I am on my impossible mode playthrough. I'm on chapter 9. Chapter 9, or maybe is it 8? No, I am on chapter 9. And so there's 12 chapters in the game. So I have 4 to go. I'm hoping to have that done tonight on the 10th of May, which is Wednesday. I'm hoping to have that done. Have it done today. If not, tomorrow at the latest. But I have been cheesing the hell out of this playthrough. There are so many glitches and exploits to just trivialize. It is magnificent. So the first thing is there are cheat codes in this game, which you forgot about that, didn't you? I bet. Oh, you forgot about that. Who forgot? Like the amount of games that have cheat codes still is like
one. It doesn't affect trophies.
Nope, not at all. And even doubly so that don't affect trophies, because the few games that do happen to throw them in, they'll more often than not affect your trophy progress or achievement progress. Not here. And holy shit, I am. Anyway, so what they are is there's like a series of different cheats, and they basically just give you various amounts of currency just like instantly. There's like a 1,001, a 2,000, a 5,000, like, and a 10,000 or whatever. So you can get like 19,000 credits right off the bat, which is very helpful, especially starting at the beginning of the game. And then you can there's 2 different cheats to give you extra power nodes, which you use to upgrade either your suit, your weapons, or your kinesis and stasis abilities you get in the game. And 7 extra nodes, not a big. I mean, that's definitely a help because you can buy nodes at the store, but they're 10,000 credits a pop, and so it just helps to have 7 right there. So that's the first thing I did, which is very nice. Second thing I did was this game released with a lot of DLC. Now it's not microtransactions to the point where buy all these credits or power nodes for a certain amount. It's not that. But there's like a lot of extra suits you can buy, and a lot of it's the same weapons, but they're just like reskinned. But there's one that at least the listing made it seem like they were a stronger variant. I don't know if that's true, but anyways,
they got it.
Anyways, I bought the whole DLC bundle, so it was like $10. I just bought the whole DLC bundle, so you get 3 or 4 of these level 6 suits right off the bat, and so what that basically means is you basically have a full inventory list or inventory slots, which is like 25 you get in the game. So instead of starting with your level 1 suit and having to gradually increase your amount of inventory slots, I have just 25 from the get-go, which is great because then you can hoard more to sell more, which is nice. And I think it gives you more armor. It doesn't show it on the screen. It still shows you at the 60% armor like a level 1 suit has. But when I took damage, it seemed like it was less. But I don't know. Anyways, I was really doing it for the inventory slots. So that was nice. So that was a good edge from the start. And then the last thing is there was an item duplication glitch, which is just taking me right back to Pokemon, which is amazing. You can in like these crates or whatever, you can find items in there. Or if you open these special doors, which are very similar to Shiv doors in Last of Us, as a matter of fact, where you have to spend a power node to open them. I was like, oh, Dead Space did it first. That's nice. The items that are in there are always the same. They're always the same items. And so what you want to do is the way the glitch works is if there's a save point nearby, something like that, where there's like a static item that never changes, no matter how many times you play the game, it's not a random drop, it is a very specific thing. What you do is you use your stasis to grab it, and you can drag it along with you. And so currency is actually a tangible object that you can grab. It's not like you just get it when you open something or whatever. Like you have to press X to get the credits. So what you do is you grab the credits, drag it with you towards the save point spot, save, come back to that currency that you left on the ground, and then for some reason it duplicates. I don't know why, but it duplicates. And then what you do is you grab the duplicated item, not the original one. You grab the duplicate, grab that, get it away from the original one, go back to the save spot. Don't save, but like activate the thing, like because it'll make a noise when you get close to it. Do that, come back, the item duplicates again, and you just repeat that shit as many times as you want. And you best believe your ass I did that at least 35 times. So I got hella.
Why would you need to do that if you already had a cheat code for free money?
Oh, it's a one-time use.
I
should have said that at the start. Good point. Yes, it is a one-time use. All those cheat codes are one-time use not per playthrough, not just per playthrough, per save file. So even if you go to New Game Plus, you can't do it again. It is for one save file. And the thing is though, Impossible mode has to be done on a brand new save file. You can't do it on a New Game Plus. And so that works out just fine. But anyways, yeah, so duplicated the shit out of that credits. And I had like 400,000 or something by the time I got to the next store. So I just bought a shitload of power nodes and then upgraded my plasma cutter from the very beginning and upgraded my suit to max. So I had like max HP on it, and I'm having a glorious time. Yeah. So I mean, after playing the first chapter or so, like I was like, I could do this. It would be like annoyingly stressful, but I could do it. But I didn't want to because I'm too old for that shit now, and I got no time for that. So you understand? You know what I'm talking about. So I got shit. I got too many games to play. I don't give a shit. If I was like 25, I would have fucking like, nah, my honor is too great for this. But not anymore. I ain't got time for this shit no more.
I can't wait to get to like my dad. So I had my dad over recently, and
nice.
I was playing Fallout 4, which I'll talk about more when it's my turn. And he was just like, my mom was complaining because we were there to visit. And so Serena and her were over on the table talking, and I was playing Fallout 4, and my dad was just watching.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, Warren, we're here to visit. And he's like, I like watching them play because like I can't play these games. Like I like them, but like if I tried to play it, like I wouldn't have fun because I can't.
He has no idea what's going on.
Exactly. We might eventually get to that point where like we're like sitting there, our kids are on some like fucking VR shit, and we're just like, look, I like seeing you play it, but I'm like, if I get out there, I'm gonna fucking.
If VR becomes the future, like the permanent future, replaces traditional gaming, I will be lost. I will be like just holding on to my PlayStation 6 system. Like, no, this is the good old days. This is what I want. So yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
I remember my dad back on the I think PlayStation 2. I had Ace Combat, and my dad could play Ace Combat because he used to play other flight simulator games, on
PC and stuff. Yeah.
So like they were similar enough to where he could do it.
Yeah.
And he actually played. I think he beat like Ace Combat Liberty Skies. I think he beat it. So like my dad can play. Now my mom, on the other hand, I had her try to play Portal 2. And she couldn't walk through the literal, like she couldn't. So you know how you get like the first thing you do is you go like on the elevator, essentially. She could not get through the elevator door because like you know how you have a shoulder, it's like right here, but you're looking through the eyes. She couldn't walk through the door, and she's like, I'm not in the way. Like, what's going on? I'm like, mom, you have like a shoulder. You got to move to the left a little bit. And she's like, I don't understand.
What you needed to do was give her a third-person game. You don't get someone who's never played a game into a first person, because the perspective is a bit jarring if you've never played a game before. That is not the right thing to do. My mom could play Crash on PS1, but that's as far as she goes. Um,
But anyway,
yeah.
what
So
we get to next?
speaking of vehicle games, the other game I'm playing is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered on the PS4, and it's a bit of a curious thing. So I'm almost done with it. I only have like one more trophy to go, then I'm done with it. Whatever. So I bought it a couple years ago, and I was waiting forever to buy it because EA wanted to sell that fucking game for $40, and I was like, no, thank
Yeah,
you.
they don't fucking discount their shit.
No, 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 no. For not for $40. Are you kidding me? For one game? Like, get the fuck out of here, EA. I don't care if it has all the DLC. The game is over 10 years old, so get out of here with that garbage. So I was waiting and waiting, and then GameStop finally had it on sale for $20, and I was like, $20 is perfect. That is appropriate amount of money to spend on this. Um, so I finally bought it. I finally popped it in like a week ago or so, and I remember that was actually my favorite Need for Speed game on the PS3 era. Like on that era, out of the ones that I have played, which at the time wasn't all of them, but even now that I have played some of the older catalog like Carbon and recently Pro Street, it's still my favorite one so far. It is still my favorite on the PS3 because we didn't get Most Wanted, the original Most Wanted, on PS3. So I never played it. 360 got it, but not PS3. So I haven't played it. So I'm
It's
sure
the best
maybe that would be my best one, but I don't know. And they won't fucking port Need for Speed Underground 2 to the PS3, and they haven't done anything with it since. So I don't remember how that game was. I remember I had a lot of fun, but it was too long ago. I'm not going to judge it. So on the PS3 era, it's my favorite game. It still is my favorite one so far. Because Most Wanted, the reboot, was nothing like the original Most Wanted, and it was okay, but it was not. It was weird. I would say that the way the progression was weird, the way you went about the game was weird. There was basically no fluff. Like it was so soulless in a way. Anyways, so I'm playing it, and I forgot how hard it was. It could be pretty tough. And that is 100% because of the rubber banding. It is so bad in this game. Terrible, terrible rubber banding in this game. And I know it because when you play online, you see how the game should have been, as far as like balancing how fast the cars go and everything. When you go online and you get absolutely smoked with no effort at all. One crash and you're not getting back. You're not. That is how the main game should have been. The single player part should have been, but no. It has some of the worst rubber banding I have ever seen in any game, and I forgot about the rubber banding, how bad that was. But then it helps you because the other cars will slow down ahead of you. They will absolutely slow down.
Stop
Like
and go get donuts.
especially within within the last mile of a race, your opponents will absolutely slow down and let you catch up. So it's weird. It's very weird. It helps you, then hurts you. Um, the cop parts are fine. I remember liking the cop parts in this game, whereas in most any other game, I hate the cops inclusion in these games. I know I'm the outlier. Most people love it or they don't mind it or whatever. I hate it. I absolutely fucking hate it. It obstructs my fun, and that's why I don't like it. And I just want to have fun. I just want to race. I just want to go vroom vroom on the streets and be happy. But I don't get to do that because the woo woo want to come get me, and I don't like them. But this was really fine. I didn't mind it. They have like their own little campaign and everything. It's great. I like the driving in it. It is very arcadey, and even though the cars do feel different, the drifting is so much fun. And as long as you just drift turn instead of brake, I had no problem. Like I didn't use the brake button once. I just hand brake, whatever. I just use handbrake the entire time for every turn, and it works fine for me. But I've always been good at drifting. Most people hate drifting sections in racing games, like when the drifting segment comes up, or the drifting cup, or championship, or events, or section.
The last two, I at least have found, because they did this thing where they tuned it to where you can either do it like it'll drift automatically if you turn enough, or you can do it where you can double tap the gas.
Yes, they had this one too.
To initiate.
This one has it too, but it doesn't work well.
This one, in the later ones, I got pretty good at it.
I know, I'm sure it got better in the later games, like the most recent ones. But in this one from 2010 originally, it doesn't work that great. But handbrake, blah. But anyways, I know most people don't like drifting parts of games. Anyways, it's really tricky to get that right, because precise turning and all that stuff. I've always loved drifting. That's always been some of my favorite events in the racing games. I'm just a weirdo when it comes to racing games. Don't like the cops. Love the drifting. Anyways. So I've been doing just fine with it. Beat both of the campaigns, got all the goals and all the events for both cops and racer. It wasn't really a bit of challenge. I mean, the traffic can be an ass sometimes, but otherwise it's fine. But the online is pissing me off because what it wants you to do is not really hard. Just wants you to just play events a certain X amount of times, like 10 times or so, as a racer and a cop, and you're done. That sounds fine. The thing is, even if you host a lobby, you can never speed up the time to just start an event. You can never just press start event, but the option is always there, and it's just never highlighted for you to do. So even when you're in an event where there's only 2 people in the lobby, because like what's called an interceptor, which is just literally one cop has to bust one guy, you can, even when you have both people in the lobby, you cannot just press the start event button. And it's like, you gotta just wait for that timer to go down every time. And I'm like, what am I missing here? Is there an option that I didn't enable? So it's like, it just makes it so just boring. And then because the online is actually how the races should be, it does not take much for the racers, like for either if you're a cop to get lost, for the racers to get busted. It doesn't take much time because that's how the game should be. So it actually becomes really, since the game doesn't properly prepare you for that, you kind of get like this, like, kind of like, bummed out because you're just like, wow, I didn't know I sucked this fucking bad. And so you don't even want to keep playing anymore, but you got to. Well, if you're me, you got to. So you got to get that sweet platinum. But anyways, here's the best part is you don't got to actually play the events. You just have to just get it to load up, get into the matches. Even if they quit or if you quit or whatever, it counts. As long as you get to see that screen at the end, it gives you the experience. You're good. So what I did was last couple hours, I just had the lobby up and just turn off the TV and just kept working and everything. And just if the events happen, they happen. And I actually got some of the trophies from that. And I have it on as we speak with my TV off. And so hoping by the time I'm
somebody
done,
loads in with you, and then they just take off, and you're just like,
yeah, I don't give a flying fuck at all. I already hate doing this online shit in the first place. So they can eat my ass for all I care. So yeah, I'll be done with it probably tonight. I will be done with this game by tonight. I will have my platinum, and I'll move on to Dead Space, finish that, and I'll figure out what I'm going to play next, which will probably be Watch Dogs 1 on the PS3.
On the PS3, yeah.
Yes. I had a copy of it. I was going to play it before, but it wouldn't install. And then I looked at the disc, and the disc was fucked. So I went to my local store where I got it from, told them that, and they were like, I didn't expect them, because I bought it months ago. So I was just going to let them know that, hey, you probably don't want to put it back on your shelf because it is messed up. I was just going to get some credit for it, but they actually gave me a full refund on it. So I was like, hey, nice. I just went and bought a new copy.
Like 10 bucks,
they're selling it for like 7 or 6, which is why I didn't care about getting a refund or anything for it, because I was like, it's $7, bro. I don't give a fuck. But they gave me a full basically trade-in credit refund for it, and I just went and bought another one because they had another copy. So I'm hoping that one is not messed up. What are you doing, David?
Still playing Fallout 4.
Like you will be forever.
I upped it to, I think I said this last time, but I'm on easy, and I'm still getting sections where it's like, where I'm getting fucked up.
Really?
Yeah. So depending on the
well, like it's who like death claws and stuff, because I mean they're always a bad time.
No, like death claws. It depends on the gun I'm using too. Because I don't know, true. Did I tell you about the OP gun that I found?
I don't know.
So I think it's I can't remember if it's one that I came across as one of the special guns when fighting one of the when you find a legendary, or if it's one that you get in the storyline. But essentially, it's a laser gun. That it has its special effect is 25 points of bleed damage.
Oh.
So what I did was I took that, I put the scatter shot on it.
Yeah.
And then put the beta ray on it, which includes burn damage. And each one of the scatter shot lasers, if it hits the target, does the 25 bleed damage. So I went up against an alpha Deathclaw and just melted that shit. Just fucking like just and it just
fell over. That was it.
Yeah. But then I had a whole bunch of ammo for it, but I was using a lot, and then it got to where it was under 999 and so I switched to something that I did have like over 1,000 ammo for, just so I could, not run out if I needed it later. So I have other guns that do pretty good damage too, but it's not like that. It's not melting health bars. But I got it to where, for the most part, I got a couple of the, I can't remember what they're called, stats or
Perks.
Thank you. God, I could not remember that fucking name. I got a couple perks, the ones that allow you to find more ammo and more caps.
Scavenger?
Scavenger and whatever. There's 2 different ones in 4 at least.
Okay.
Just so as I'm going through, I could collect a lot more caps, because it's hard to get caps in this game.
Really?
Items do not sell for all that much in 4 compared to 3 for sure. And then there's no casino like in New Vegas. So other than that, though, 4 is unique in this was it doesn't have a level cap, and each level you can put to, instead of grabbing a perk, you can just put it into your special traits. So I have maxed out every special trait. I think I'm level 55 now, and I have 10s on all of my special traits, and I'm working through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 trait into all the perks as I go down, except for ones that are absolutely pointless, and there's a few in the game, like the power armor one where you can run over people. I'm never in power armor. I hated the interface, because I don't know if you remember this, but when you're out of power armor, and say you're on a mission, you have the mission indicator, it'll tell you if it's up or down, like if it's above you or below you. When you're in the power armor, it doesn't tell you if it's up or down, so you just gotta fucking like go, and then you're like it's right in front of me, so it must be up or down, and then like you get out of the power armor, it does a whole animation, you're like, oh, it's above me, and you get back in the power armor. I fucking hate the power armor system in this one. It's stupid. And also what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get all of my companions fully like idolizing me, which I've never done. I'm through like half of them. I even got the one that's notoriously hard to get, that people are always like, man, how do I do Strong, the super mutant? Because he hates everything that isn't killing things. Like if you like lockpick, he's like, that's stupid, and he's like, Strong dislikes that. If you lockpick anything, if you're on a computer,
but the game won't let you blow up a door. So what are you supposed to do?
You just don't lockpick doors.
You just don't ever lockpick a thing ever. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is like he'll like and you. So here's I found a trick to it. But essentially, if you were just playing the game and didn't find this trick, that you would just have to play as a jackass and just like kill random people.
That's what it sounds like.
And always just be killing people, like, and like doesn't matter if they're villagers, you murder them. Truly evil.
Always death. Death is always the answer.
But
always.
What you can do instead is get the cannibal perk, which in this game there is no karma system.
Oh yes.
So as long as there's no one else around you, you go into like a gunner's. What I did was I went to the main gunner's place where there's like 100 gunners, and you just kill everybody, and you eat someone, and then you go to a place where you can sleep or wait, and you wait for 2 hours, and then you go eat somebody else, and repeat.
Why do you have to wait?
Because they have cooldowns, and each different thing has a different cooldown. So that one has a 2-hour cooldown. Things like so some people like Lieutenant Dance, Preston Garvey, Codsworth, they really like when you like make something at the workbench. That has a 2-day cooldown.
Wait, I'm confused. So you have to like, what exactly is are we cooling down? Are you using an ability?
No, it's just the time in between. So basically, they didn't want someone to just be able to like have a whole bunch of guns and then just like mod all of them and then have it in one standstill, like have everybody love them.
So
Because
wait, so
essentially
like,
what you can do is you can gather all of the people who like a certain thing
okay,
around you
yeah,
and get all of them up at the same time.
okay,
So what you had, so they wanted a cooldown so you would play the game with the person and through playing the game get them to idolize you. Um, of course,
yes.
gamers be gamers, so we found a way around it
Yeah,
anyway.
because it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, so for that one, I just put a bed by the workbench, so I would mod
No,
something,
good, good,
turn
good, good,
around.
good, good on you. Good on you. I would have done these.
Uh,
If there's a trophy for that shit, you best believe I'm doing that because it's like I only want to be with certain companions. I'm sure, right? No one likes everybody. I am absolutely sure. All right,
oh yeah,
and
the best
so
one is Curie. She's when you first find her, she's a I think I can't remember. She's basically a variant of Mr. Handy,
okay.
um, but she's like a medic one, and
Oh,
she has a
okay.
French accent.
Nice.
But eventually, she wants to become human, so you put her in a synth body, so she's just this hot French girl. Um, and yeah, so and in this one, just like any good role playing game, you can fuck everybody, and there's no consequence. So like, I'm just getting with everybody, uh, and it's just like I'll be in my on my little camp in Sanctuary where all of my like people who I've romanced are, and I'll go to sleep and just randomly I'll be in bed with someone. So like one time I sleep it'll be Curie, the other time it'll be Dance, and just like randomly I'm just waking up in bed with somebody.
All your concubines are just here.
Yeah,
Yes, come
it's
to me.
great, and they're
Come
all
to me.
around each other, and I'm just
Just
it's pretty funny.
smashing. Yeah,
But yeah,
it,
I finally got to the point in the story where I have to like make my decision between the three main all of the main factions. So now I'm just grinding companion stuff, and then I'm probably going to start the DLC um,
Far Harbor.
as well.
Or are you gonna do
So
Nuka
I'm doing the
World? Or which one are you gonna do?
automaton, the robot one.
Automaton. Yes,
Do that first, and then I'll do Nuka World, and then I'll do Far Harbor because Far Harbor is by
that
far the
was the big
hardest
one.
one.
That was also the
It
big one.
is,
The big
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
go to
yeah.
a whole different place for Nuka World too, but this one is like
No,
Far
but
Harbor's
Far
rough.
Harbor. I knew about Far Harbor. Yeah, I know about Far Harbor. Um,
Yeah.
it's
But
funny you
anyway, that's what
mentioned.
I'm doing.
It's funny you mentioned about like any good RPG lets me fuck anybody. It's funny you say that because there's this old game called Alpha Protocol. So in the
Yeah,
PS3
yeah, yeah.
360 area, it was made by Obsidian. It apparently it has a cult classic following. I didn't particularly enjoy it, and I didn't even play it that many years after it was out. Like it was like I played it yesterday, or like I played it like only a couple years, like a few years afterwards, like maybe 2014 or something like that. But it's funny because, and I'm not one who really gives that much like hoopla over like misogynistic tendencies in games, but it just felt a little over much in this one for me. Like, so there's like four ladies. I think there's three or four ladies that you can romance and smash throughout the campaign. And one of them, like the way they seem like as if they're actually like they're gonna be like your girlfriend. And I think one of them knows that you romanced one of the others, but you still romance her too and smash with her. And I was just like, are they even trying to hide this? Like, it was ridiculous. Um, it was just like, I don't know. It
Yeah,
was just, I was like, God damn, man, Obsidian, calm down. Jeez, like, fucking
yeah.
hell.
But yeah, I'm
Anyway,
doing
so,
that, and then like I I think it's good that I came. So this is the first time I've come back to four since I played it originally.
yeah, you said it was all
I
right, but
did,
like, that was it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
not like it the first time I
You were
played through,
disappointed in that game for sure. I
and
remember.
yes, and I still agree, as I think any like longtime Fallout or at least since three Fallout fan, because I know the real OG people are going to be like, it hasn't been good since whatever
Since Fallout
isometric.
2 on MS DOS.
Yeah. Which fair. If that's the type, if you like top down RPGs, then cool. I get it. But the one thing that really irked us fans from three was the conversation system. It was
Yeah,
just
that's the one thing you always bring up.
super lacking.
Yeah.
Super lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Like the choice to voice the protagonist, like it would have been fine if they kept the options, as many options as you had as the non-voice protagonist in 3 in New Vegas, but because they voiced it, they cut down on the options. So you only have like 3 options, and essentially they get different like uh like basically the first phrase from the person after you put whatever option you pick is different, and then because I do a lot of scum saving, um, and basically the first line is different, but then the line directly after that is always the same. So it doesn't matter which one you pick. It'll always progress the same, almost the same way. Like every now and then there's a variant where like maybe the person will get mad and start attacking you or whatever. But essentially it's the same thing. I also didn't like that like you always become the general, the Minuteman men. Like you can be the scum of the earth, and it's just like, and I remember we talked about this on like one of our OG
Oh,
podcasts, like way
oh,
back in the day.
oh, oh.
And it's kind of it's where like where Garby will be like, I don't necessarily like the way you do things, but maybe you're just what we need, so we're gonna make you general. I know you're just like, I just killed innocent people in front of you. Are you sure about this? And he's like, yep, you're my general now.
Absolutely. You start Monday.
I met you 5 minutes ago, and you told me to go fuck myself, but you know what?
You're the
Here
guy.
you go, General.
You're the guy I need. You're the one.
So there's some hangups, but like the overall game, like it's cool. I'm kind of excited. I don't know if this excitement will carry on to when I'm actually willing to do it, but like I want to like build a cool community in the settlement building, because like they've improved it a lot. It's a lot snappier, and they've added stuff to it through DLC and just updates. And another thing that I'm learning I'm surprisingly okay with now, and I haven't spent any. I've spent a little bit of real money, but is the creation club.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
So one, if you use mods, which they also have, which is a cool addition, you get achievements taken away, and
Yes.
they don't always work great, because they're not curated and everything like that. But the ones in the creation club, they don't take achievements away. And they're all curated, so they all should work with one another.
Okay.
And they do sales all the time. And a lot of times there's like I think it's every like couple weeks they switch out the sales. And there's at least like 2 or 3 things that are free. And normally it's like cosmetic stuff.
Yeah.
But like it's cool, and then also just the knowledge that like this is going to a creator. I don't know how they do the free stuff, if they get anything for that, but I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I downloaded like 6 things, and I have bright yellow power armor. I'm just like,
well, now knowing that the creation club stuff does not fuck up trophies, that is exactly what I need to do here, buddy. Because I will spend money on it if it makes me break the game. So thank you for letting me know that nice little tidbit.
Yeah.
I am excited to play Fallout 4 now. I do have it. I've never played it. I do have it though. So yeah, before we move on, just real quick thing on Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. I don't know why, but the remastered version has way less reviews. Good, positive reviews than the original, and I don't know why. I think it's a matter of just the time, like just the passage of time. That's one thing I could chalk it up to, because it's the exact same game, plays exactly how I remember it. I'm sure the rubber banding was the same. All the problems with it were the same. I think it has to just be down to just what people want, I guess. Because I've been reading forums. A lot of people like complain about the driving, or just that the game's too hard. Or it's tough to get golds on events and stuff. And I was like, whoa. I didn't have it's the traffic's annoying, but like I don't know. I was like, what else? Am I just a fucking Giga Chat at this game or something? And I looked up on the Metacritic, and I looked at the PS3 version, the original version. Critic review, 89. User review, 9-0. Like that game was like heralded when it came out. The OG version, like great, magnificent. Okay, like they were Criterion did it again. Leave it to Criterion. They're the only good dev making Need for Speed games. Like leave it to them. But then like the remastered, the user review was like a 70 something. Sorry. The critic review is like a 70 something. I think the user review is like, I don't know, 4 or 5, even 6 maybe. Like it's really bad. I'm actually really curious. Let me just look it up really quick. Okay, so 75 critic. User reviews a 5.2, which is a far cry from the original one,
Yeah,
like 8 and 9
sure.
or whatever. So,
Yeah.
and I think it must be just because who's ever playing this didn't play the original, and they're just like, what the fuck is this? This doesn't play how I thought it was going to play. Maybe if they also, especially they came off of the newer ones, I'm sure the driving it feels very different. Or maybe just off of other racing games, because they didn't change the racing. They didn't change how it drives from the original game. It drives like how it did in 2010. So I think that has to be it. But I just found that very, very weird. And also, some people were also pissed that it was just like a pretty. I think also the pricing I think fucked it over too, because they were like, you didn't do anything really substantial with this remaster. You did make the backgrounds better and stuff like that, but otherwise it's the exact same thing. So like, why is this $40? So people thought it was pretty much like a pretty lazy remaster, especially for the price point. I bet you if it came out at like $30, people wouldn't have cried as much. But anyways, a little fun tidbit that I wanted to bring up. So this is going to be an Xbox again catered podcast, but not exactly in a good way.
I'll
I don't
find a
know.
way.
I don't know why Xbox is getting shit on, honestly, and that's coming from a PlayStation guy. Like, I don't know why they're getting shit on lately. It's just like the press is just looking for shit to find on Xbox for some reason right now. I don't know why. It's like every quarter there's like a new big target, right, of the day for the
I think
gaming industry.
they're
They're just the
the
punching
big
bag
money
right now.
bags with the amongst all the money bags. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, oh well, poor Sony. Look at Microsoft of all their money. Poor Sony doesn't have as many billions of dollars as
Yeah,
Microsoft has.
as many billions. Yes, in the billions. But so I just saw this kind of funny thing today. It's like gaming adjacent per se for this like little kind of fun, not really fun, but like kind of like the smaller question or topic of discussion. So Microsoft posted up their profits for the quarter, and they actually had like an $18 billion profit, whatever. And I don't know if that's good or bad for them because it's Microsoft, right? And I mean,
When you get to the billions,
it's
like
like
I don't know, that's a
and it's
number.
like and it's like well, I'm also keeping things relative, right? Like because I know because like here's the thing. Here's like sometimes when I just like shake my head at like video game journalism because it's just like man, just fishing for those views, man. It's just I don't know. I can see right through it. But the article was like saying like so here's the issue. Microsoft's not gonna be able to give yearly pay raises to their full-time salary employees this year, even though they the article was like Microsoft not able to give pay raises despite reporting an $18 billion profit for the quarter, right? I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's just catering to the lowest common denominator who just sees the billion profit and the no pay raise and they're just like, fuck you Microsoft. But I'm just like, there's more to it than this. There's
Yeah,
got to be more to it than this, right?
there's questions that have to be asked. So
and and so
like
hold on.
do yeah,
Hold
sorry.
on. I was gonna say because that goes back to my initial thing about like what does that profit really mean, right?
Yeah.
Is that actually good? Because you have to keep things in perspective. And I know we love to just rag on big corporations, and I get you. I hear you. I'm a consumer too. I'm a little guy too. I get it. But at the same time, it's like you got to keep things in perspective for a couple of things. One, what does that profit really mean? Like, is that a good enough, quarter over quarter or year over year increase for Microsoft to justify a yearly pay raise? Second, you have to also think about like, well, what is the average pay for your average full-time employee, and where does that rank up to the natural
Industry pay.
industry, not just industry pay, but just also like standard of living pay. If they're already getting paid a good amount above like what like whatever that state or the national like poverty line is, or like whatever middle class line is, whatever we're going to call it, if it's already a good amount above that, then you don't like if it's 1 year and it has to be skipped unfortunately, then like that's like it's not the end of the world. right? And the next thing everyone has to keep in mind that no one likes to remember or think about is that payroll expense is the biggest expense of any company ever. That it is hands down the big. You can take any accounting class and you will learn that like day one or at least day five. Like payroll expense is the most expensive thing a company will put money towards. Why do you think they're always trying to cut fucking pay? Because that's the most expensive expense they have. Is the biggest expense that they have. And so if you know there's that profit, if that profit isn't really that big enough for the company, and then you also keep in mind how many full-time employees do you think Microsoft has, and this is Microsoft we're talking about, so we're talking about tens of thousands of people across the world that all have their various different pays, and also even Microsoft is a US based company. Well, our currency is very much not valued as highly as the euro or the pound is, and who knows, maybe some other currencies too. And so you take that into effect, whatever is paid, that money is paid here, costs even more overseas, which increases their expense. And so it's like you put all these things in consideration. It's like, well, okay, there's an explanation for this. There can be an explanation for this, you know. And I say this from a guy who also didn't get a yearly pay raise this year. Okay, like I got one the previous year, but I didn't get one this year. No one got one in my company this year. Does it mean the company sucks? No, but sometimes you just have to do things. A company has to do things to make sure that things stay, good in the long term, not just the short term. But so those are my thoughts. But I want to, hear what you have to say
Yeah,
yourself, Dave,
so like,
especially as
I
a
mean,
Microsoft guy yourself.
yeah, I mean, like, well, I'm an Xbox guy. Like, I
Yeah,
like you said, I'm not in it for the for the big corporations either. If they, I'm gonna get, uh, pretty into it, but like, I won't get too pretty into it. But I'll say if they were paying their fair share and not, skating around,
hmm
with certain loopholes, I would have less to say about how much money they make, because they make money because they're companies. That's what they're supposed to do. If they were paying their fair share in taxes, which I don't believe they are,
but then
I would
again,
have
no
less.
no company does.
Yeah, but no company does, exactly.
No company does.
No company
They
does.
hate those taxes,
Um,
man.
yes, and rightfully so. In our system, they are encouraged to find ways.
But yeah, I mean, it's only because we
it's
have a
not like
system built to help
to
corporations.
help them do it. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
like
like they're performing some kind of black magic ritual behind the scenes, and you know, and like we have a system that was made for them to find these
yeah,
loopholes.
they find the accounting loopholes because they're there,
They're
and
there.
and when they are
They're
found,
built into it.
our system doesn't do anything to stop them.
They'll
So it's like,
close one and open another just so they can shift money around.
and
But anyway,
I've taken accounting courses, and from a professor who's been like accounting boards and stuff like that. He's told the class about, like, it is deliberately, like, the rules, like I think it's called the oh gosh, like the FASB or something like that. It's like the accounting board, like the standard board for the U.S. Federal Accounting something board. Anyways, it's written purposely
yeah.
vague, kind of like
And
most of our
there's
laws. So,
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of geopolitics for the reason why,
mhm.
because if we didn't, then someone else would, and then those businesses, we're scared that those businesses will go over there and take jobs and all sorts of stuff. So there's reasons. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah,
For just this specific thing,
we can become an
yeah,
accounting podcast now.
yeah. For just this specific thing, I would say you want to ask, yes, you already touched on it, year over year, quarter over quarter, whatever. Is it an increase? Is it an increase they expected? All sorts of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that goes into what does that profit, like you said, actually mean. Also, okay, annual people aren't, but who is? Is the CEOs getting
So
it?
I can bring a little light to that. So because I read the whole article, because I was like, let's see what else is here. And to their credit, and it was from GameSpot. To their credit, they did do their due diligence, providing more information. So if you did take the time to read, you got the full bigger picture. So, salary employees, including executive team, is not getting raises this year either. They mentioned that the CEO, Satya Nadella, I think it's his name,
Yeah,
he's not getting one this year. So I imagine if he's not, Most of the executive team probably isn't either. But here's the thing: hourly employees still are. That's the thing. Hourly employees are getting the bump, but it's just not full time salary employees.
Which what I was going to go into. You're right in the fact like we'd want to like I want to be clear that like I think that everyone should be getting paid what they're worth. And the biggest way to do that for anyone who needs this advice that is listening to our podcast, when you get into salary positions where you are going to most of the time, unless you're, a dummy like me who's going to be a teacher, if you're in a salary job, you are getting paid a more than livable wage. That does not mean,
usually. I mean, when you were at GameStop, I would argue. Wait, was that salary for you, or was that still hourly?
It was salary when I first started, and then it became hourly later.
But when it was salary, though, I would argue against that. But GameStop's
yeah. There are exceptions.
Okay, how about this? White collar salary positions,
True.
more often than not, will pay above a good amount above living wage.
A good amount. But so like you can't expect. What you can't expect is to get yearly raises like that. Is not the best way to increase your salary. The best way to increase your salary in a white collar job that is by leaving your company that you're in and going to another company. Constantly be interviewing, constantly be changing companies. If your company wants to retain you, then they can match, but always be leaving. Now for hourly, it's different. So hourly, if you can't do that, you can still do that strategy, but it's not as successful.
It won't work as well because you're more disposable, unfortunately. That's
you're more disposable.
It sucks to say that, but that is unfortunately how the cookie crumbles.
Yes. You're more disposable. Like you just have less qualifications.
You're a good example. When he was at GameStop, when we were both at GameStop, he used to tell me all the time about like if anyone were to leave or whatever. He's like, I could go out to the street right now and just yell out, "Hey, who wants to work at GameStop? You got to you get to hang out and play games or sell games, and you get to rent out games whenever you want for 3 days."
Do you remember what I actually said?
It was
I did that one. I also said a trained monkey can do what you can do.
Oh, I remember that one now. But we're not gonna let's not do that one. But but the other one was just like I could go on the street right now at any time and just yell out, "Hey, you basically be around games, or you get to rent games as much as you want. Who's in?" And I promise you, people will come running.
And then give me a week training them, and I can get them their numbers close to yours. They might not be as good as yours, but I can get them close to you. A good trainer can get them close to you. So it's good to see. I think that we should have a bottom-up approach to this, and I think we should reward Microsoft. I know they're still a big company, so I don't want to give them too much praise. But someone who the bottom tier is affected most by inflation.
Yes, a fact.
So
don't even dispute that.
Yeah. So they should be the first ones to get any They should get it regardless. With these big companies, right? Smaller companies, you can argue that if they don't meet, then they can't afford it. But these big companies, they should be getting at least inflation rate
increases. Yeah, they have to get an inflation
every
rate
year.
Increase. Yeah, they have to.
At least inflation rate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you move up to salary, and if they didn't make what they expected or whatever, then those guys are going to be, for the most part, fine.
They can hold off a year. They can be okay for a year. Like everyone basically salary, mid-level management, C-level. Well, C-level is corporate, and then the executive. Especially the mid managers and up. They don't need it unless they just so pissed that they can't afford their fucking beach home, lakeside home. Then whatever, fuck them anyways. But your regular managers, everything, that area. Yeah.
And then again, they have the leverage to go get a job at another company.
They're doing more stuff. They're getting way more experience in management and all different types of management. I should just say there's so many different types of management. They're getting all these different very valuable skills. I think the name of them, I think they're called hard skills, something like that. I think they're called hard skills, things that aren't as transferable and easily gotten. And so that makes you way more marketable, like David's saying. And so, yeah, if you don't feel like, if you do have a more salary or close to it paying job, and it's like a more white collar, like you're doing more professional style work, then yeah, you are more marketable. You can go on Indeed right away and be like, hey, I learned all this. I was able to accomplish X, Y, and Z. What do you got for me? You know?
Yeah.
So,
So I think, in my opinion, with all the information you gave, I I don't necessarily, I'm not going to praise them
and
for
I'm not
doing
either,
the
but
minimum of what a company should do for their
yeah,
employees.
yeah.
But I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with GameSpot slamming them. Like, like, look,
Yeah.
they did right by the lowest employee. You know, the middle
It's,
management and up, they'll be fine.
it was more upsetting about just the headline. You know, I mean, it's a good
Oh yeah,
headline.
yeah.
It's a good headline. It's gonna get
Got
them.
you to read it.
It'll get
Got you
people.
to
It'll
read
get
it.
people into the comment section just cussing up a storm on Microsoft.
Yeah,
But it's like,
yeah, fuck Microsoft.
I mean, guys, come on. Like, anyways,
Yeah.
but the one last thing I was going to point out that I thought was hilarious, that I was like, why is this even here? Like, I audibly said that to myself. Why is this put here? They mentioned that how the CEO got a raise from 2011, or sorry, 2021 to 2022. It was like a 10% raise at the time. And I was like, okay, but that would have been relevant a year ago. This is the 2022 to 2023 raise we're talking about here. Why are you
I think
bringing
it's
up the raise from before that?
the rich getting richer.
I,
Like,
I,
oh, if he wouldn't have taken that raise 2 years ago, they would have been able to pay the other people
oh, okay.
now, kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, okay, all right.
But again,
but it's like, okay,
there's
well, what
all
if
sorts
but
of
if
different
everyone else
things.
got raises too? Then it's like, oh, but they still were able to give everyone a raise. So what are you complaining about?
Yeah,
But it's obviously I know why it's there, but it's just like at
yeah.
the same time though, it's just like, come
It's
on,
fun to
really?
shit on the billionaires,
Really?
the millionaires.
Just move on with your day, guys. Like, it's just fucking move on. You got too much. If you are in that lower denominator, you got too much shit going on, anyways, to worry about complaining about big corporations.
I mean, hey,
man.
that's how the person that wrote that article makes his money. So, like, hey,
Well, that's his job. I'm not talking to that guy or girl. I'm talking about the people who are going to be yelling, who just want to yell for the sake of it. I'm like, bro, if you're already down there, like, if you already are struggling like that, you don't, in my opinion, you don't got time to worry about that grovel. Just do what you can do. Try to get out. That's what I would say. Just don't worry about that shit. Just move forward. Anyways, so that's that. But we're gonna continue with Microsoft train today. So it's kind of strange to pivot this. So Redfall, okay, came out. We talked about it in the last podcast. Came out on PC and Xbox Series. I think just Series X, by the way. I don't even think it came out on.
Series X.
I don't even think it works on the old Microsoft systems.
They'll have a version eventually, but it currently only is on the Series.
Oh,
X.
there is plans to make the last gen version.
Yeah, again,
that's interesting.
That's their mandate.
Well, yeah,
they
but
have
normally
to make one available.
But normally they come out at the same time. So this is interesting.
Well, it's getting harder. That's the thing. That's my argument. It's getting harder and harder to make these games work on the old consoles.
Yeah. Well,
it is 10-year-old tech, 10 years plus old tech.
I think it's not 10 yet. It's not 10 yet. Oh wait, no, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. The original Xbox, because it has to work on the original.
No,
Xbox
I always forget
One.
about that the Wii U came out in 2012. I was thinking it came out in 2013, and then the PS4 and Xbox One were 2014. I always forget. I always forget because I base it on when the Wii U came out because I know that was first, and I know that was first. So I always keep thinking that was 2013, but it was actually 2012. Yeah. But anyways, continue.
So it's getting harder and harder to make the same game work on 10-year-old stuff. Imagine PlayStation 4 games working on the original big block PlayStation 3. It's just really hard.
I have a great example of that. I have a great example of that I found this out the hard way. Whew. Shadows of Mordor. Okay? Remember that game?
Yeah.
Phenomenal game. Great game. It was actually one of the very few games that I was actually excited for at the time too. Because even back then I was already jaded with games. Like 10 years ago, already was like, whatever, games don't impress me anymore. Unless it's like Ratchet and Clank or Tekken or Mirror's Edge. I don't give a fuck. But so I eventually played it a couple years ago. Finally got my hands on it. Played it on PS4. Magnificent game. Right? Obviously, great game. Obviously.
It's really good.
And I was like, let's play the PS3 version. Why the fuck not?
That just
Have you ever seen the last gen version
I
of that
have.
game?
I have. It's bad.
Oh my gosh. I actually thought
It's
about making shorts on this bullshit on this piece of
yeah.
shit. It
It's
is
horrendous.
the most poorly optimized game I have ever played. People got mad at Pokemon Diamond and Pearl for being not optimized and running kind of slow and a bit clunky. Or people get mad now with Scarlet and Violet for being not optimized and doesn't run well. You don't know not running well till you play Shadows of Mordor on PS3 or 360. Holy shit. You start, okay, the intro cutscene is the same, and you're like, okay, yeah, fine. It's just maybe just a little graphically unimpressive, but moving on. Game starts, it runs at like 10 frames a second, and I'm not joking
And
you. And you
and
can't
it
see a
doesn't
damn thing because
and it doesn't even have the Nemesis system
oh,
because
that I
the
knew. That I
PlayStation
knew.
3
Yes.
could not handle it.
Yeah, the
And
last gen systems could not handle Nemesis at all.
yeah, we're running into the same issue where they're just it's and I don't know this for sure. I haven't read any articles. My wife knows. I don't do
Oh,
research. I just say shit.
well, what are you going to say?
Um, that it is getting increasingly harder to adapt what should be next gen games
For last gen
or,
consoles.
or current gen games to
Yeah.
10 years, because again, it's not just they have to make it for the Xbox Series Series S, which is also less powerful than Xbox Series X. They have to make it for the OG original big block Xbox One.
And honestly, the Series S is honestly just like, you know, how on the Xbox One. Oh no, the way I look at the Series X and S is basically how I look at, you know, like PS4 Pro and PS4, right?
Yeah,
Like same
essentially.
system, but the
A
PS4 Pro
little bit,
just has a little bit more juice, right?
and it's even a little bigger gap than that.
And I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, right? I know the Xbox
Yeah.
X is just beefy, right? And the S is, you know, there's some. I mean, it's also the discless one, I think, too. And so
Yes.
I know that there's some concessions they took on it, but I'm pretty sure that the performance difference between S and the OG Xboxes is pretty substantial. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why Hogwarts Legacy, the last gen versions, took 4 months. They needed 4 extra months. It finally came out, and I'm gonna play that version because I do want to see how it plays. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why.
I heard.
Is it bad? I can't wait. I can't
heard it's
fucking wait.
bad.
I'm gonna play it on the
I heard
channel. I want to play it on the
I heard
channel.
it's
I
bad.
might even live stream it. Because I want to know. You're right. I'm the kind of guy that likes to know the kind of shit like that, especially if the game is not necessarily hard. Like, I don't mind doing that. If it's like a hard ass game, like if it was like a Souls like or something, I probably wouldn't bother. But so there's a reason why, and even then, apparently, according to you, is bad. I'll find out for myself eventually. But you know, anyways, we're getting beyond the point. That's not what I wanted to talk about. That's not what I wanted to talk about.
I went off on a tangent.
The game didn't do well though. I will say that even on X, Series X, and PC, as everybody knows, it did bad. Now, it's not necessarily going to be on the bandwagon of shitting on the game itself per se, but its bad performance opens up some more conversations that I've been hearing about that I think are kind of interesting to talk about that I didn't think about prior. So I know you and I were playing some 4D chess. We were thinking about like, oh, well, what is this? What is Microsoft really after with this, right? Are they trying to?
Is it a test case?
Are they testing some stuff? Are they gauging some stuff with the Game Pass or something? You know, and we got into some like 60 chess moves with Game Pass, which was just blowing my mind. David is just he's ridiculous. Anyways,
next level.
But this flop, and I will say flop because even though you might have your supporters of the game. You just go to Metacritic, and if you don't want to believe the critics, I mean, I'm looking at it right now on Series X as a 56 average Metacritic or critical review,
which
and
is
a 3.2 user review. Okay, and now if you want to be like,
if the critics do low 50s, the game's bad. Like critics tend to
actually, you know what? Yeah, they usually they'll skew towards up or down. If it's in the middle, there's probably a better consensus on a middle, like between 50 to 70 average. I you know, that's a good point pointing out because I know a lot of critics will just either jump on the bandwagon bad or good, but
and the problem with critic reviews is most critics only get like a very short time to play the game. So they very few critics play the game all the way through or play it for a long enough time. So it's only the initial start and you don't really get your feelings all felt out in anything until you've been with something for a while.
And even if they do play the whole thing, like you said, they are rushing it, and so you don't really get to fully absorb everything
and you get hit
correctly.
by the wow factors a little bit more. So you're
Mm-hmm.
like, and you see the pretty thing, and then but it's kind of like when you're dating someone, like she can be real good looking, and you're really overwhelmed with how good looking she is and stuff like that. You're really
Yeah.
feeling it, but then the longer you're in that relationship, maybe she doesn't have
The
as good of a
more you see
personality
the
as you
cracks,
thought.
the more you see the cracks show. But if you're
Exactly.
but if you're
So
rushing, you may not get a chance to see the cracks. But
exactly,
I
and
was
you're
gonna say
like, oh man.
also though, maybe if you don't want to agree about the Xbox
So
people, like maybe it's just the Xbox people being Xbox people or whatever, or maybe it's like
I can
PlayStation
see
people
that
just
too.
shitting on it or whatever. People are just jumping in on making user reviews. Well, PC version, which I don't know why, but I kind of trust the PC people more, and I don't know why. But on PC, it also has a 54 critical review, so it's about on par with the critics. But the user review is 1.9 on the PC version. Now that's probably because there's extra issues and bugs with the PC launch, because I know lately there's been some pretty bad PC launches.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So
it
what's
can't just
these what's
all
these
be because of that.
questions?
So it's not really questions. I guess it's kind of
Or
hard. I don't know exactly
topics?
how I want to frame it, but first thing is like, if this was a test, what does this mean now for Xbox's plans? If we do want to be cynical and think this was just a bigger part of a bigger scheme, what could this
Yeah.
possibly mean for them?
It
Is this a big setback on their plans? Because I know
it
Phil
would
Spencer's.
all depend it would all depend on what the plan was. I think in any plan that they have, it's a failure. Um, so it would just depend on the plan. I think what they have to do and what they need to start demanding from their things. And I think they're a smart company, so I think that they will. Is that they? So I think you take two games, right? You take Redfall, and then you take oh shoot, what's that game that Shadow launched that
Hi-Fi
was
Rush.
critically
Hi-Fi
Hi-Fi
Rush.
Rush.
Yeah.
Okay, they both did lower numbers than they should have. Even Hi-Fi Rush that was critically acclaimed, right?
Yeah.
They both did lower numbers than they should have. Microsoft said, "Hey, Hi-Fi Rush was a success." So they're gauging the success of some of their games differently than just units moved. So I think that they will definitely see Redfall as a failure, and hopefully, and to me, they will be like, okay, why did it fail? How did it fail? And how can we change these things before we relaunch the big hitters? Because although, like you were saying, it kind of fell off the radar. Yes, it was from a big company, but it wasn't an established IP. I think that hopefully that whatever test they were running, they see it as a failure and they fix the things that made it a failure, which I think was, at least from what I got from reading reviews, was that it's just underbaked and
Yeah.
under like
Yeah.
thought.
And
Like it
also
doesn't
a
have
bit
a
soulless, a bit samey and
yeah,
soulless. And so,
yeah.
and for a game
Like
that
there
seemed
were
to
there
be, the game reminds me of this is a deep cut. Fuse on the PS3 and 360. If anybody remembers that game, it was a game by Insomniac of all people. Your Spider-Man, or for me, Ratchet and Clank people. It was supposed to be like Insomniac kind of first foray to like more of like a human like, because they were doing Ratchet and Clank. I think just Ratchet and Clank up until that point. And so this was supposed to be like a 4-player third person shooter, cover shooter, cooperative shooter game. But when it was first shown, it had so much charm and humor and fun to it. Like all the characters were like smartasses, like Nathan Drake, kind of esque, and they all kind of bantered with each other, and they all had good personalities. And I was like, huh, this is kind of weird, but I'm kind of into it a bit, like especially if it's from Insomniac, they can't do me any wrong. And then we saw the game again some time later at another showcase, and everything had changed. Everything. And then the game became super generic, like a more military style shooter of its era. So it basically flopped. It came out with like a little poop, a little fart, and that was it. Because EA watered it down all to hell. And this game kind of, because I remember when it was first shown, I remember thinking like the game had some charm and some personality, and the characters kind of were more, I don't know, personable in a way, like more charismatic. But now from what I've also read and seen, they're kind of lifeless and like nothing really exciting is going on with
yeah.
them.
I
And I'm
think
like, did Microsoft do something? Like, mid
Yeah, I
development.
saw. Yeah, probably. There was probably some bad play testing that went on, some bad interference that went on flops like this, especially from good established companies who have good
Yeah,
track
like
records. You have to
Arcane knows what they're doing.
assume that something happened with their creative process, either the loss of some people or the interference of some people. I think though that like I I hope that they don't come out and defend it. Like Hi-Fi Rush, I'm glad they defended it. I'm glad that um, I forgot the guy's name, the head of Microsoft,
Phil.
the head of Xbox, Phil
I get.
Spencer,
I think they call him Uncle Phil. Apparently now,
Uncle Phil.
I didn't know
Uncle Phil
that,
came
but
out and he defended Hi-Fi Rush, and
yeah,
he said it was successful, and he said it did everything we wanted it to do. That was great because that game was a good game, whether it met sales numbers or not. It was a good game. Redfall is not a good game. I hope he doesn't come out and defend that.
he
I
hasn't.
hope he says
He
yeah,
hasn't. He's been doing damage control lately. I've been
yeah.
seeing him.
So
He's
and that's justified. I think that it's all a learning process, and I hope that they take whatever they were trying to test, whether they were just coming out with a new IP. I hope they don't say, hey, new IPs don't work because Hi-Fi Rush worked, and they just say, okay, Hi-Fi Rush worked. It was a good new IP. This didn't work. It was a bad new IP. Why? And they
and
learn
also
from it.
and it's actually a good comparison between. And I guess this is why people. I don't know. I haven't heard anyone explicitly say this why they're being compared. I think just generally because of it's topical. But another reason why it can be compared is because Hi-Fi Rush was shadow dropped. Of course, everyone knows.
And
No
this had
marketing.
build up.
No marketing. Here's the thing. Redfall had a little bit of build up. It had minimal build up for what you would expect from a AAA game, right? So you could compare them a little bit. You could kind of do a good comparison because you had a game that had no marketing compared to a game that had minimal, at least for a game that was supposed to be of this size and manpower and everything. So yeah, you can compare. Like, okay, we didn't even fucking. No one knew this game existed, and it critically was great. People love it. Yeah, I may not have sold as much as maybe it was they supposed to, but for a shadow drop game, I don't know what you would expect for sales, honestly, especially from a developer whose last game was a bit of a letdown because Tango Gameworks last made that Tokyo Ghost oh gosh, well, I can't remember the name of it, but
Yeah.
that's my point. Okay, like that first person game where you cast like spells on ghosts and stuff. That was their last game that they made, and from what I've heard, apparently it was a bit of disappointment. So you have that was their track record, and Evil Within was cool, but not mind
And
blowing. So you have
and
that, and
I'll,
then hold on. And then you have
yeah.
Arcane, who not only can Microsoft not say that IPs don't work because their last game was Deathloop, I'm pretty sure, and that game was like a game of the year contender last year. So you can't tell me that I knew IPs don't work and you can't say Arcane is the blame because Arcane knows what they're doing. They made a new IP last year and it did great. I don't know how much it
And
sold, but it critically did amazing.
Deathloop, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Deathloop was all that hyped up. Like I remember
I
I
knew about it.
remember it being talked about, but I don't remember it being talked
It
about.
was more than Redfall. I can tell you that it was it was
Okay.
a good amount more than Red because it was on my radar. I remembered that game, but I totally forgot about Redfall. Absolutely, and maybe because the protagonists were black, maybe I just related better. I don't know, but I remember Deathloop, and I remember everyone was losing their minds over Deathloop because it also has a cool story. It has a nice
That's
style,
fun.
like that '70s style. So it's not like they don't know how to make a whole new world, universe, assets, themes and everything because they do because they proved it with Deathloop, and so it's like
Yeah.
it can't be Arcane's fault here, and I don't hear anyone really blaming Arcane on this. Really, no one's really pointing the finger at Arcane at the moment, or at least not for the most part.
Fair or unfair, they're the two latest Microsoft game releases, Microsoft exclusive releases. So they're going to be compared. And to me, if you just look at it, you see a game that appears to have little to no interference. Like that game is so unique. Hi-Fi Rush is so unique that it could not have come from anyone but a
Yeah,
free creative team.
yeah,
You're talking a rhythm-based third-person action-adventure platformer, like
yeah,
with
yeah,
a
yeah.
rock techno soundtrack. Like that screams of
Like
no
like
fucking
indie
like
game. That's like an indie game idea if there ever was one.
yeah,
You know?
and it did good. It was received good, whether it's sales or whatever, but it was received good. People loved the game.
Yeah.
Then you have Redfall, which screams of a game that was play tested to death, and it failed. So I hope that they see that comparison and they just let studios do their shit. They said when they acquired all these studios that that's what they were going to do. And I think we all kind of questioned and kind of turned a side eye to that because it's just never been something that companies have allowed to happen because they put so much money into these game studios and they want a profit from them. So they're not willing to do things that are against the established order because the established order makes money. But hopefully they see this and they lean a little bit more towards creative freedom. I hope that's what they bring out of it. As far as what we speculated last week about what they were testing as far as servers, about online connectivity, I those things I don't think are going away, and I think that they would have been doable if it would have stunk less of, you know, controlled, play tested corporate bullshit. You know, I think that Hi-Fi Rush would have done and been received well as the game it was, even if for some stupid reason it needed to be connected online. There would have been a lot of pushback being a single player game, but I think once people got their hands on it and it played the way it played, I think it would have been forgotten.
And that goes back to a point I have made about like those like the game as a service games that people still love to this day or whatever. The one factor that has always held these games back that I've seen, the common thing is just simply they're not fun. They're just not fun to play.
The Marvel online
Marvel was too repeating. The same thing with Gotham.
Batman.
Too repeating. Too much same. And that's why Suicide Squad has been pushed out 10 fucking months from its original date. Not because of fixing bugs. No, you're redoing the game. Don't even lie to us, dog. Like they put out that trailer at the PlayStation Showcase or whatever that was, and everyone was like, this is
Gotham Knights.
This is basically Gotham Knights. This is basically Gotham Knights again. And yeah, no one liked Gotham Knights with their stupid gameplay loop that was very tedious and boring. And so they were like, oh no. And before you knew it, article, big old news thing from them was like, okay, yeah, game got delayed out to, what was it? February of next year or something stupid like that. Like 8-10 months out. I was like, you don't delay an 8-10 months, almost a year for polishing. No. You delay a game out 2 months for polishing, okay? Not 8. So they're probably redoing the entire game because, yeah. Anyways, the thing I was going to say, though, which I think is the bigger discussion here that I've been hearing about, which I think is quite interesting, is with Microsoft still not having a major success for a game, like a singular major success, what does this mean for Starfield? Because with Starfield Starfield started off strong, but the more people have seen about it, I've been seeing some of the responses a bit more tepid. But even if the game is going to be a general Bethesda game, Bethesda Fallout style game with all the bugs and shit, if people, I know people are going to forgive it if the game is just, if the narrative is magnificent, if the exploration is fun and enjoyable. I know people will forgive it. I know you will. So,
yeah.
But what does this mean though if it doesn't? If it comes out to just mediocre, middling reviews?
So it's a game that has to work.
That's what people are saying. Hit. Like, this game has to hit hard.
It has to hit, and I think again, what you do is you let Bethesda be Bethesda. And hopefully,
well, when they did that, they made Fallout 76. So,
and again, that is a game again. Now that was before they were owned by Microsoft, but that's a game that again screams someone being like, "We gotta make it online. We gotta make it. That we gotta make it an MMO. Like that's where the money is. Like that is a game that screams." we did this because of X reasons in the market.
So like our shareholders were yelling at us, so we had to make something like this.
Exactly. Because like you don't go from even Fallout 4, which as we just talked about was less good than New Vegas, but still a good game with hundreds and hundreds of hours of fun gameplay, to Fallout 76, which was shit and has gotten better, but was still shit. ESO,
that started shit too. But then again, ESO
that started shit too and has gotten better.
Yeah.
But even ESO, like I played ESO, I played it when it was better. It's still a kind of a soulless MMO.
People still playing that game like gangbusters, though, man.
Yeah, and people love MMOs. People that love MMOs will play MMOs, and I'm fine with that. Whatever, cool, get your stuff. But they made that game not because of creative. They didn't want to make that game. You didn't have any creative people that were like, oh man, you know what would be fun? A fun game to make? An MMO version of a game we already fucking have. Because that's the thing. Like, it's not 76 and ESO are not new games. They are the same fucking game they made last time, just MMO. So what I hope they do is they bought Bethesda and they say, hey, you're already working on Starfield. We want you to make the most Bethesda-ass game you've ever fucking made. Like, just make that game. And I would, like, hell, if I was fucking Microsoft, I'd be like, not only, like, we're going to give you all freedom to make the most Bethesda-ass game you've ever made. Here are some people from, who are the people that made New Vegas? Obsidian. Here's some people from Obsidian.
That we also have, just so you remember.
That we
own them too.
We're gonna push back the game they're making, because they did. The Elder Scrolls-ish game.
The Outer Worlds 2, I think it was.
No, not Outer Worlds 2. They have like a medieval game that they.
Oh, that already came out. That it was like a 2D style kind of thing and all that stuff.
No, this is different.
They came out with a medieval game. It wasn't like a traditional type of game, but that came out a little while ago.
Maybe I missed it. But anyway, here's some people from Obsidian. They're gonna help you and just make the most Bethesda-ass, Obsidian-ass RPG game you can make.
I want 3 times the bugs. Get on it.
And I think that'll hit. If it is of Fallout 4 creative quality and hopefully better graphics, because it is an updated version of the
get rid of that
creation engine.
Get rid of
those. They should
get rid of all those hopes and dreams. It's gonna be the most graphically unintensive game on the Xbox Series X you've ever seen.
But it is a new working of the old engine, so it's not like it's the same engine they use.
Don't get me started on the engine. Don't get me fucking started.
Anyway,
don't get me started on the engine.
But if it is of even Fallout 4's creative quality, it will be received well, and it will be a good game, and it'll be a success. But if it is of any other level under 4, then we're going to have problems.
But I'm not talking success. I'm talking like, this is why you got your fucking X, your Series X. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have that, and they haven't had that. So, like, but like, you look at not just PlayStation, Nintendo has it too. Like when Breath of the Wild came out, that's your fucking Switch game, or Mario Odyssey. That's your Switch game, right? PlayStation, God of War 2018. That was your PS4 game. Last of Us 1 or 2. That's your PS4 game. Horizon. That's your, or for the racing guys, Gran Turismo. That's your PS4 game. But like,
I still think they can have that in Starfield.
I want them to have that, but I'm just like, I think that's what if that's not it? You know what I mean? Like, what if Starfield doesn't hit that hard?
Again, I think they if they give them creative freedom to really do what they want and don't put any, hey, it needs to have online elements. It needs to be this, it needs to be that. And they're just like, go make this game. I think it will be. I think it will
I hope it
be
is.
that game. And I think ESO, I think not ESO, I think Elder Scrolls 6 will also be that. But yeah, so
like
we'll see.
I want it to be the game where like people will finally move on from Fallout 3 in New Vegas, like because it's that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they can
yeah.
finally
I think
forget and move on and play
I
this.
think if they let Bethesda be creative, and maybe shuffle in some Obsidian people back into the mix, I think it can be.
I
I
hope
think it
so.
has the technology to be. Again, I am worried about both it being Creation Engine 2, but still Creation Engine, and then I am also the whole it has to work on Xbox One is gonna
They better just
hold it down.
have like a whole another team working on the last gen port and have that come out later, like with Hogwarts Legacy, how that came out months later. Just do that. Focus all your main attention on the Series X/S. Let the last Uncle Phil, it'll come out, but later, like a year
Yeah,
later. We'll work on it a year later, and then it'll come out on the last gen. But we got to focus on
yeah.
the main gen because the reason why I bring this up,
We'll
though, the
see.
whole reason why I bring this up is because I'm not worried about the console wars. Not worried about that. I don't give a fuck about that anymore. I'm not worried about like Xbox. I don't know, losing money, whatever, because it's Xbox. It's Microsoft. The point is more of a brand thing. That's what I've been. I think that's what I think is most on the line here. It's not a money
Yeah.
thing. It's not a console war thing. Whatever, right? It is a brand thing because it's like I don't know how you Xbox players feel when you really get critical about the console and the games that are on it for you guys, and so it would be nice, I'm sure, to have that rallying cry game to be like that's the fucking one, and but they don't. You haven't had one since Gears of War 1 on the 360, man. Like you haven't had it. I mean, I guess for the racing guys, they like Forza, but you really Xbox hasn't really had that, or any, you have some close ones, here and there, but you just haven't had that one where like you just keep seeing in the news, like just never stops. There's just the news coverage on this particular game from Xbox just doesn't stop. It just never fucking stops. There's always something new to find or something crazy that the fans found, or you
Well,
just see it.
it's the we haven't had a game that makes PlayStation people or people who don't have an Xbox
Get an
say,
Xbox.
"Oh
Yeah.
man, I
Yeah.
need an Xbox for that game."
Yeah.
I need a PlayStation 5, and I know my wife will hate my use of the word "need," but I need a PlayStation 5
Put in quotations, so she'll feel better.
to play God of War.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
I
people want
need
to,
it.
like Xbox users see a God of War, they're like,
Yeah,
oh man, I need that shit in my
yeah.
life.
I
But
need
like,
to play that.
but it's like I don't necessarily like
Xbox doesn't have that.
even if you're a shooter guy and you're on PlayStation, you could maybe look at Xbox and be like, oh, Gears looks nice or Halo looks nice. But it's not like we don't have options. You know what I mean? Like we have
Yeah,
options on PlayStation for that to solve that niche. So it's
yeah.
yeah, I feel
But
bad,
we'll have to
but
see.
we'll have to see what
It'll be
happens,
interesting.
man. We'll find out. What is it? September now? I think September. We'll find
Yeah,
out if it doesn't get delayed again. But
yeah.
until then, guys,
We'll
that's this week's podcast. Sorry we were ragging
Yeah.
on Redfall and Xbox a little bit. I promise, unless some shit happens, this will be the last one we'll do for a while on it. Unless some crazy stuff happens in the next week. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. Glad the cast could join us at the very end.
Oh, they're an hour late for their feed time. So.
Oh yeah, okay, they're really hungry. Anyway, so yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see you guys on the next one. Thank you for joining
Yeah.
us. Like, comment, subscribe as always, and yeah, bye guys.